Yeah, hello friends. So we are here for another interview preparation session. So let's take our first question. So we'll be starting at the very beginning from Python. Today we'll be covering Python. So what is Python first? Yeah, so what is Python? Okay, I will answer. So Python is a high level integrated and general purpose language. It also supports objects, modules, threads, exception handling, automatic memory management, which helps in modeling real life problems and building application to solve the problems. So we spoke about high level language. So what is this high level language? Next question. What is high level language? So what is high level language? Yeah, Java, we can say. So high level language is something which is easily readable for us. Like Python, we can easily read the code and understand it. Whereas in basics or C, C++, it is very hard to understand. Okay. So next we'll be taking what is integrated. We said that it is an integrated language. What is integrated? Sorry, not integrated, interpreted. So we say Python is an easy interpreted language. So what does it mean? So interpreted in terms of Python, it means that it executes every line of code, means one by one. It starts with one line, then goes to the next line. If we want, we can execute only one line or execute a bunch of lines together. It depends on us. So it is highly interpretable. Next, we say it is a general purpose language. So why is it a general purpose language? So Python has a large variety of packages in it, and still development is under process for many of the packages. So it is possible with Python to build almost any type of application with the right tools and library. So we can say it is a general purpose, means it can be used for any purpose when where programming is concerned. So it is known as a general purpose language. So let's take the next one. What are the benefits of Python? Why we use Python? What are its benefits? Yeah, so I will give the answer. So benefits of Python, first of all, it is open source, means it is free to use. Anyone can use it. And then let me write. First, it is open source. Next, it is very simple and easy to learn. Next, it has good readability. If we read the code, we can understand. Next, it is a high level data structure, which is combined with dynamic typing. So next, let's take the question. We saw here dynamic typing. So let's take what is dynamic typing. So what is dynamic typing? No, it's not Barney sir or Sarat sir. Yeah, so what is dynamic typing if anyone knows? Okay, so dynamic typing refers to type checking during runtime. So when we run the program, we don't mention any type of the variable, and it decides on its own according to the values it has. So that is dynamic typing. So it is of two types actually: strong typed and weak typed. So let's take the next question. What is strong typed dynamic typing? Okay, so strong type dynamic typing means it decides the type and decides the operation also during the runtime. So if we have like 2 plus 2.0, then it says that one is integer type and another is float type. So it can be added. Both are numerical types. So it gives us the answer 4. 4.0 actually. But if we have a string, like if we have two string and we add with float 2.0, then it will throw us an error in strong type. So next, what is weak type? Then typing. So basically we can say it doesn't allow coercion in this. In this case, it doesn't allow coercion during runtime. So let us take the next one, weak typed dynamic typing. So in this, it allows coercion and everything works here. If we add an integer, a number in string format with an integer or float, it will work. Like it works. The example of strong typed is like Python, and weak typed is like PHP or C, etc. So let's take the next question. Yeah. So what are the type of checking? Type checking. What is type checking? So as the name suggests, it checks the type of the variable before or after executing. It depends. So there are actually two types here. There is static type checking, static and dynamic. So in static, data types are checked before execution. And in dynamic, after. In same, data types checked after execution or during execution. So in Python, we have dynamic type checking. So we discussed before the interpreted language. So why is Python an interpreted language? So can anyone say why is Python interpreted language? So we discussed interpreted language is when it executes the code line by line. So Python is an interpreted language as it executes the code line by line and also type checks during the execution. So type checking is done dynamically and it is also interpreted. Okay, so next let's take what is PEP. We must have heard when dealing with Python PEP. So what is this? Okay, so I will answer. So PEP stands for Python Enhancement Proposal. So it is an official design document that has style guidelines for Python code. Okay, next, let's get into Python. So what are the different data types available in Python? What are the different data types available in Python? Yeah, this is an easy question. You can answer. Okay, so I'm answering. So basically, we have around, I think, 7 types. So first is none type. So none type represents null values. Then we have numeric types. In numeric types, we have integer, float, complex number, and also Boolean, zeros and ones. Then next data type we have is sequence data types. So in sequence data types, we have list, tuple, range, etc. Then we have binary data types. In binary data types, we have byte arrays, bytes, etc. Then we have text types. In text, we have string, then dictionary. Dictionary comes under mapping type. Mapping in which we have dictionary. Then we have set type. In this, set and frozen set comes. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Okay, so next, what is a pass function? So what is a pass function? Okay, so pass, yeah, so pass function is a function which is used to represent a null operation in Python. So when we are testing out a code, so if we want to skip a function, we give pass in it so that it it runs through it but doesn't give an error. So it is used for the purpose of filling up empty blocks of code, uh, which may execute during runtime, but has yet to be written. So pass function represents null operation. It represents null operation and used to fill empty block of code. So it is used to fill empty blocks of code which may execute during runtime. But has yet to be written. Okay, so let's jump to the next one. What is init function? So if we are working in Python, we must have seen this init function somewhere, either in the error we get, might have seen it. So what is this init function? Okay, so init function is generally a constructor method in Python, and it is automatically called whenever we create a new object or call an instance. It automatically, this function is automatically called and it allocates memory for that new object or instance. So basically we can say it is a constructor method which is called automatically when a new object or instance is created. Now this pass function is also called as a loop control function. With this, we have break and continue. Break and continue. So what are these? Let's learn about those. If anyone knows what is break and continue. Okay, so these are loop control methods. So how does it work? Let's see. So when we encounter a break inside a loop, it terminates the loop immediately and the control flows to the statement after the body of the loop. For break, it stops the flow, stops the loop immediately. Whenever we encounter a break statement inside a loop, it terminates the loop immediately and goes to the next line after the loop. Similarly, if we encounter continue, what happens is, suppose a loop is running for 10 iterations, and in the fifth iteration we encounter continue. Then what happens? When we encounter continue, whatever is there after continue, it doesn't operate. It terminates that loop there and goes to the next loop. So continue, we can say continue terminates the current iteration. Means the iteration means the number of loops. Means first loop, then second loop, like that. So it terminates the current loop and skips to the rest of the code. Means after the continue statement, it skips all the code below continue and goes to the next iteration. Okay, so let's take the next one. So what is the difference between array and list? Yeah, so what is the difference if anyone knows? Okay, so I will answer. So array is a homogeneous homogeneous sequence, not sequence. It is a collection item, we can say. So array consists of homogeneous elements, whereas in list we can say it can contain heterogeneous, means different types of elements. Then array occupies less memory, whereas list occupies a large memory. The next, array doesn't, means array supports mathematical operations on it, whereas list doesn't. Okay, so let's go to the next question. So what is the uh, code flow? How does the code flow in Python? Means what is the inner working of when we run a program in Python? What is the inner working? When we run a program in Python. So when we run a program, so what happens? Means how does we get an output when we run a program? So first step, we're writing code. Then we run. Yeah, so then what happens is when we run the code, it converts it into a byte code, it into a byte code, meaning machine language, which the machine will understand. So we know that Python doesn't have a compiler. So in place of compiler, what it has is a virtual machine. Virtual machine. So this virtual machine can read the byte code, and then it gives the output accordingly. So let's take the next one. So what is a Python virtual machine? As we saw here, virtual machine. Virtual. So what is a Python virtual machine? Yeah, so Python virtual machine, or let's shorten it, PMV we can say. So PMV is the runtime engine of Python. So it takes the instruction in the bytecode and executes the instruction one by one and gives the output. So basically it does it. It goes through the bytecode instructions one by one and carries out operations stated in those instructions. So whatever instructions are there in the bytecode, it goes through them one by one and carries out the operations in those instructions. Okay, so let's take the next question. What is the difference between list and tuple? It is the most basic question that is asked in the interview. Difference between list and tuple. Okay, so let's list out the difference. So list and tuple. So we can say here list is mutable. List is mutable, whereas tuple is immutable. So what basically mutable and immutable means is we can change the elements of list, but for tuples we cannot change the elements of the tuple without means creating a new. If we create a new tuple, then it is another thing, but the same tuple cannot be changed basically. Then list takes up more memory, whereas tuple takes less memory. Then third, represented by square brackets. Here it is represented by parentheses. Then we have, as tuple takes less memory, it is faster, and list is slower. So as we can see, these are the basic differences. So we have something called collection types in Python. So let's see what is collection types. So collection types basically are uh, element means types which have sequence of elements in them. So like, for example, their collection types are list, tuple, set, and dictionary. So let's see what is the basic similarity or differences between them. List, then we have tuple, then we have set, then we have dictionary. So list is a collection type having ordered mutable elements, and they allow duplication. Similarly, tuple are also ordered, but they are immutable. And they also allow duplication. Now for set, set is unordered. We don't have any indexing in set. Unordered, immutable. Unindexed, and they don't allow duplication. Now last, dictionary. So dictionary are ordered. They are mutable, but they don't allow duplication. Okay, friends, so we have come to the end of this session. We'll be joining again tomorrow with questions on data science mainly. We completed Python and we may also see some of the programming examples of Python. Then we'll go to data science. Okay, thank you.